All right, I get what you're saying, but I really do not believe the Bills quarterback is an alien. Think about it, bro. Shows up in town, everybody loves him, has a certain glow about him. It's exactly like E.T. Listen, okay? I know you're desperate to pass the time, waiting for the ticket release of the world's largest startup competition, but you just gotta chill. Hey, give me this blanket. You had it last night.
Folks, don't camp out, don't wait in the rain. Head over to 43north.org or social media and grab your tickets today. Get them before they're gone.
I'm telling you, he is hiding in plain sight. Even think about his last name. What do you mean? Allen? That's pretty standard. Is it A-L-L-E-N or is it A-L-I-E-N?
Man, you know what? I get so excited. Every time I see Captain Ferdinand acting in that, like he delivers those lines so good. You hear Maniac's passion in his voice. You hear his skepticism of everything Maniac is saying. There's a reason that these are the guys we put on camera, right, Majka? Like they just represent us so well. It's just so perfect what they did there.
Captain has a future.
He does.
In like doing voiceovers for a Honda commercial. Like I heard John Cena's on that Honda commercial right now. I could hear Cap's voice on there, and you could replace it, and it would be better. Even though I love John Cena, I'm giving Cap some respect. Also, Tony Romo must be watching Trainwreck Sports because he did indeed call Josh Allen an alien on the broadcast, like 2 days after the commercial debuted.
Yep.
We have never heard. I've never
no one
heard
has ever
called Josh Allen an alien on a broadcast ever until this week. That's some either weird universe shit saying that we're doing the right things here at Trainwreck Sports, or Tony Romo is a fan of Trainwreck Sports. Either way, that's hype. We should hit him up.
I almost hope that it's the universe. I don't know if I want Tony Romo, the biggest adult male cheerleader on television, to be a fan of us. But you know what?
Who do you think
hype
Tony,
man.
Who do you think Tony is going to hype up on Sunday? Like, is he just going to explode on Sunday? He might.
I feel like he's going to get really obsessed with Mecole Hardman. I don't know why. I just got a feeling.
Oh, Mecole, look at all that speed on the field.
And you know, this is the kind of guy that, you know, if I was in the quarterback NFL right now, I'd love to play with a guy like him right now.
Oh, Jim, he's the forgotten guy. He's been here for years looking to make the play.
Oh, the Mecole, he got overshadowed by Tyreek Hill, but this is a guy. Okay, yeah. So I really hope that we don't hear that. But that's a preview.
We're going to hear a lot of it.
That is our preview of our game against the Chiefs this week. Thank you guys for tuning in, and good night now. Great game that. Oh, you got me. Oh, you jokester. Man, you got all the jokes. Welcome to the Crowd Assist podcast. What a weird fucking start. Okay.
That's a great start.
You know what? And we're just going to go right into it. First, shout out Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case, located at George Urban Boulevard in Depew. I remembered which way to point up after I
know. I thought about it this time.
That was okay.
That's real life learning you just saw in front of your eyes. Because even on my last pod was Saturday that we had an ad, and I was like, nope, wrong way. I was trying to.
I just got to remember to point at the wall. Point at the wall. The place to buy a case, obviously, in the heat of Bills season right now. Sabres season just started up. We're recording this on Thursday night, so I know that I have some beverages that I got not at Outlet Liquor, and that's a mistake on my part because I could have gotten a lot better bang for my buck. So whether it's wine, spirits, liquor, tequila, maybe, I don't know what you're into. What I can say is that Outlet Liquor has you covered, and I got you guys covered for an interesting beginning to this show here outside of everything that's already happened. I got a new game that we're going to debut here on the Crowd Assist podcast called 4 Facts, 1 Fiction. And Majka, the way this is going to go, I have 5 statistics about the Bills and the Chiefs. 4 are real and 1 is not real. And it is your job to decipher that based on what you know about these two teams. So just get right into it. First one, and you can give me your thoughts on them as we go if you want to. First one is that Patrick Mahomes is currently closer to Trevor Lawrence in yards per game than he is Josh Allen. Immediate reactions to this possibly real statistic.
I think that's probably true because T-Law's been balling out. Mahomes has had some rougher games and they haven't been pushing the ball down the field. And Josh just got a huge burst in yards per game, throwing for 400 yards on like 28 passes or whatever it was, his official stat line this week. Oh no, I don't even think it was that many. I think it was 14 to 23, right? Or was it a little more than that?
I know
sorry,
he had
I'll look up the stats.
yards, but
anyways, the 400 yards, it was not even 30 attempts. And so, I'm going to lean toward that one's true. So we'll see what else we got going on here.
All right, next possibly real statistic about these two teams is that the Bills and the Chiefs are the bottom two teams in the NFL in terms of punts.
Okay. Well, I know the Bills haven't punted a lot. So that's good, but that might be the trick there. That might be what you're trying to trip me up with. Fair
enough. Number 3, the Bills have more than twice as many turnovers as the Chiefs.
That sounds about right to me, to be honest. That first game was 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
Wasn't great.
That was ugly. Yeah. Not great, Bob. Possibly real statistic. Number 4, the Chiefs have allowed more than twice as many touchdowns as the Buffalo Bills.
That one's tricky because I know that the Bills haven't let up a lot of touchdowns, but all right, I'm ready for the last one.
All right, last one, and here we go. Zach Moss has the most yards per carry out of any running back that will play in this game.
I feel like Zach's been ripping off big runs. I'm going with the.
I can put them all on the screen here for you, so you don't go from memory here. So
okay,
do a service to you, my friend Jake Majka.
I think it's the punts. I think the Chiefs have punted more than we think they have. Is that the fiction?
Man, I really thought that I might be able to stump you, but yeah, that was the fiction. And it's not even like it's all that far off, to be completely honest. The Bills have punted the least amount, obviously, in the NFL, and the Chiefs are just tied for 3rd. So they're right there. So it was almost a real statistic, but I just had to fudge it just a little bit.
They've had basically bad 1.5 halves, while the Bills have only had like a bad game in total, I think, so far. And that makes the difference in the punting.
Literally, yeah.
Who's second? Who's second least? Is it the Eagles?
In terms of punts, I believe that might be
punt
right.
talk for the brand here.
Yeah, hashtag punt talk. Where can we okay, here we are. And so second least is oh my god, you're never gonna get. You're never gonna guess. No.
Oh.
No, more reasonable than that.
Oh, okay. The Browns.
No.
Okay, what is it?
Yeah, the Seahawks and the Raiders tied at 2.
Well, the Seahawks do be scoring a lot. So.
They do be. They really do be. And then the Chiefs are tied with 15 punts with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Atlanta Falcons.
Don't you have something on the Seahawks? Like, didn't we talk highly about the Seahawks? I thought there was something.
Yeah, no, I think the Seahawks are going to win that division.
The NFC West. Yeah, that's what we talked. It's not looking that bad right now.
It's not looking bad. I would have loved for them to come out on top against the Saints this past weekend, but you know what? You can't come back if you're not losing.
Well, sometimes Taysom Hill just takes over, just like you would expect.
That's my Guillotine League team. That's the only reason I'm still alive is because my friends subbed Taysom Hill in for me when I was at the game this weekend.
That's incredible.
And there was a game last weekend. Josh Allen was absolutely lights out, and we're hoping to carry that over into this game against the Chiefs. And, we were talking for a while before we started recording here. Again, it's Thursday night, so we are airing this on Friday morning. But when it comes to where I think the Bills have a big advantage in this game, it's going to be on the Chiefs' offensive line. And it was funny that was the first thing that you came up with when we were talking just before we started here. But Orlando Brown went from all pro left tackle with the Baltimore Ravens, primarily run heavy scheme there. And he is a great run blocking kind of tackle. When the Ravens traded him to Kansas City, I honestly was a little wary about how that fit would go because, does this mean that, the Chiefs are going to start to try to run the ball more? Because that's what Orlando Brown's great at. He doesn't hold up well in pass protection. Last year when we played him, we got through him pretty well. He's not playing very well again this year. Von Miller, Greg Rousseau, no matter who you throw on him, I love the prospects of how we are on the left side of that offensive line for the Chiefs. And then the right side, it's just a journeyman right tackle. Nothing better, nothing worse. In Andrew Wiley, who I almost called Austin Riley, like the Atlanta Braves. But then the interior of the O-line, Tooney, Humphrey, Trey Smith, great stuff all around there. But these defensive ends have really been the difference makers for this Bills D-line. Maybe this Bills defense overall. And I think that's just a huge advantage for this team going into Sunday at 4:15 p.m.
This is a game that you signed Von Miller for to win a game, right? Now Von Miller has admittedly said, and this is a fact, he has never had more than 3 sacks in a game. So I'm not saying that he needs to, take over and get like 4 or 5 sacks in that sense, but just controlling the line of scrimmage at every opportunity. Whether he doesn't even need a sack, but just Mahomes knows that guy is coming off the left side every single time. Or maybe this is the game where Leslie has been waiting to unleash Von all over the line, because we really haven't seen that, even though they kind of talked about it in training camp. Like Von's like, I'll play anywhere. I'll play inside. I'll play whatever. They haven't really tried any of that stuff, but we know that they have Boogie Basham who could play inside and outside. And we know that they've put Rousseau in that situation before too. So I just think that there's really a great opportunity to exploit some stuff on defense that they haven't really had to do. They haven't had to be that exotic yet. They have stuff that they can pull out that they have not used on anybody else yet.
And something we're going to pull out of our bag of tricks right here. We got someone waiting in the wings to join us now. Great friend of the program, longtime friend and mentor to us here at Trainwreck Sports, Muki Hawkins, WUFO. Muki, honor and a pleasure, my friend. We haven't talked much since the
preseason.
Preseason. Right. And we are on the defensive line right now. But the one thing I took away from our conversation before the season started was that you were very adamant that this Ken Dorsey offense would be way better than the Brian Daboll offense. And we are seeing Josh Allen off to the best start of his entire career. So props to you for making the call on that one. But Von Miller, we're talking about his impact right now and his matchup possibly against Orlando Brown at left tackle for the Chiefs. I think that's a great mismatch in favor of us. Majka thought the same thing. You're nodding on the same page with us here?
Pretty much anybody lined up against Von
Miller.
Right.
Yeah.
And what we saw Max Crosby do against Orlando Brown last week, we should be licking our chops right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Miller's got 4 sacks in 5 games, sacks in 2 games straight, and he didn't play more than 49% of the snaps against the Steelers, only 52% of the snaps, more than that in 3 games so far. So he's doing a lot with a little amount of opportunity, and I think that's just going to continue. And then on the other side, I have Greg Rousseau up against Andrew Wiley, just an underwhelming, not super athletic right tackle. But Mahomes is great at making plays when he has to improvise. And it's proven that he doesn't just need Tyreek Hill to, be the other trumpeter or the saxophonist, whatever the jazz musician you want those improvisers on that Kansas City offense to be. He can get it done with pretty much anybody. So how do you feel about us containing Mahomes back there? Because that's kind of been the Achilles heel against him. We've been able to get pressure, but not finish. That's the entire story of both games against him last year.
Yeah, and I said this, the guy that we really missed in the past 2 years out of those matchups is back on the team, and that's Jordan Phillips. Jordan Phillips has been missed during our days at Kansas City, and I had to ask him yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm going in the locker room, and I'm going to talk to Mr. Unbothered about, what he feel about, how is he planning to be an impact, because he's missed the past 2 years of that. He missed that. And basically he was saying, I just got to, just knock Patrick Mahomes off his spot, let the rest of the guys eat. And, that's what he's been normally doing. I mean, last time he was here, he was 9.5 sacks. It's a guy who really pushes the pocket when your edge rushers forces the quarterback to step up in the pocket. And last year, he was stepping up in the pocket against, Starler Toilet Paper and my boy Harold Harry.
Forgot about that
but
one.
they're not Jordan Phillips or Ed Oliver. So it's going to be a different scenario when he has to step up into a pocket of a guy that's 6'6", 340 pounds with an attitude. And, that's going to be something that Mahomes is not going to be accustomed to when he's playing the Bills. Now, naturally, I didn't play the Bills. I can step up in the pocket. I haven't really had no rush like I've experienced out of the Bills. So this is going to be something new for Patrick Mahomes as well. And the game is won up front. This is why the Bills went out and got Von Miller, for this matchup. This is why they brought Jordan Phillips and Shaq Lawson back to revamp that defensive line. Greg Rousseau in his second year is looking good. So, it helps Tremaine Edmonds, play a little bit more free and clean. And like I said, it shouldn't be close again Sunday. I don't care if it's Kansas City. That game should not be close.
That's what, we were talking about that before the show. That's what my first impression of it is too. It's like it's the only reason that you would think it would be close is just some Mahomes bullshit, which is very possible. I mean, we know that he could do that, but that's what it is. That's what we're banking on when you're talking about the plus side of the Chiefs. It's not the game breaking of Hill that you have to worry about anymore. And I tortured myself Monday night after the game. I was like, you know what I should watch before bed is the highlights from the divisional game. It's like watching a horror movie. It's like putting on the new Halloween movie before you go to bed. Terrible idea. But that touchdown by Tyreek, just like it's the last couple of plays ring true in everybody's head all the time. But it was the touchdown by Tyreek that kills me every time because there's nobody else. There's maybe one other guy in the league. Maybe. I don't even think so. Maybe Saquon Barkley that can make that kind of play. They don't have to worry about that this week. What they do have to worry about, though, Mookie, is a guy who just had 4 touchdowns and 25 yards on Sunday or Monday night, and that's Travis Kelce. And it was interesting because I was listening to Ross Tucker on Mike Chopin the Bulldog earlier, and he's mentioning that you want to take away their fastball and try to like do something with Kelce and take him out of the game. How is he getting so open in this thing? First of all, I don't think it's that simple to take Travis Kelce out. But the thing about the Bills defending him this week with injuries to Tremaine Edmonds' hamstring, which I don't know how serious you were there. You've been following it along. I think they said Poyer would have played last week with the ribs, but he's going to probably be back this week but also dealing with Kaiir Elam, who struggled last week too. So just the kind of the secondary and the back end dealing with injuries and some inexperience that hasn't played against Mahomes. Are you worried about what Kelce, who has naturally beaten this team up quite a bit in the last couple of meetings that they've had, having a big effect on this game again this week?
Yeah, I'm kind of worried, but I'm not worried. I mean, the Bills should know at this time. I mean, losing Tyreek Hill, they don't have a home runner. They don't have a home run hitter no more. I mean, they still got one of the best tight ends in the NFL in Travis Kelce, but he don't have a Batman. He don't have a Robin to his Batman. I mean, you got Juju, who's serviceable. You got Marcus Valdes-Scantling, who's serviceable. You got McCole Hardman, who has the speed. But, all those guys combined really don't come up to what Tyreek Hill, could do for your team when you pair him with a Travis Kelce. So, I'm just going to be physical with Kelce at the line of scrimmage and have Jordan Poyer bracket coverage over the top. And, man, we can man up against anybody else. Patrick Mahomes is not going to have all day to throw that football. Trust and believe that. He's not going to have all day to throw that football like he has in the past 2 years. This is a whole different Bills defensive line. And, they're going to get after Mahomes on Sunday. And the game is one up front, and Mahomes is going to have a long day. If you want to start doing no-look passes and all of that, go right ahead, because he's not going to have the time to throw the ball on how he thinks he's going to have the time. Either they're going to have to keep Kelce back to block, or they're going to have to bring another back in to help block. And, when that happens, then that means, hey, that's good for us because we ain't got to worry about an extra receiver going out against our secondary. So really, it should be no worries. I mean, it's like Bill Belichick, right? I'm just going to take away your best player. You have to beat me with somebody else. It's just that simple. You have to show me that you can win this game with Travis Kelce getting 4 catches, 25 yards, no touchdowns. No touchdowns.
Yeah.
Because the Raiders did a pretty good job. They just couldn't find the guy in the red in the red
Yeah,
zone.
I mean, some of those touchdowns, like how is he even in this spot? Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I don't count on that exactly happening against the Bills. Like, this is by far, I said on our show in the middle of the week last week that this is the first time since Sean McDermott's been here that they have a defense that's top 10 DVOA in both run defense and pass defense. First time ever for Sean McDermott here in Buffalo having a top 10 run defense in the NFL. And it shows up in multiple different ways, including in 2020, our missed tackle percentage was around 11%. Last year, it was around 10%. This year, we're sitting around 5% right now. So this is a much more disciplined defense tackling. And I think that, bringing in guys like Kaiir Elam, having Dane Jackson, these physical, hard-hitting players, learning from guys like Jordan Poyer, how to hit someone hard, but also make sure you actually wrap them up. Damar Hamlin, Matt Milano. Like, this is a physical-ass defense. And Dane Jackson, I'll never forget him shutting down Gronk in that Tampa game. That's a game that's a signature Dane Jackson game to me. It wouldn't shock me if, you talk about Jordan Poyer and Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano working to shut Travis Kelce down. Let's throw him to the fourth-year guy out of Pitt. Why the hell not? Let's see what that guy can do. I think that he could be up to the challenge against Kelce.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Damar Hamlin too, who's 6'2".
He is always near the ball, Muki.
So I mean,
he
that's
is
another
always
guy
around
that
the ball.
you probably want to have lined up over Kelce, being physical with Poyer bracket coverage over the top, and everybody else I think is good enough to lock up. Mahomes is just going to have to guess right. Guess what? He's not going to have all day to guess neither. So he's going to have to guess right. And if the Bills are going to force Kansas City to punt the ball. The question is Kansas City going to force the Bills to punt the ball? Here is a team in week 6. Nobody's returned to a punt. They don't have no return punt yards yet. So we really don't punt. So
that's
we're going
what
to stop Kansas City. Is the fact that is Kansas City going to stop the Bills at all? And if they don't, the Bills cannot, kick field goals. They have to score touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He can be magical, but we want him to be unmagical on Sunday. We want to pressure his ass every time he drop back to pass, and we're going to force the action to make him one-dimensional because, Patrick Mahomes, you're going to have to keep up. You're going to have to keep up. If the Bills come out early and jump up on them 14-3 or something like that, then hey, pin your ears back, go get them. Pin your ears back, go get them. I mean, if the Bills play passive aggressive against Kansas City, somebody's getting fired.
I was gonna say you'd have to think they learn from it now.
I'm tired of the passive, the softness every time you play Kansas City. I don't know where the hell that's coming from. They better be playing fast and pissed off against Kansas City because home field depends on it. And Coach McDermott stood up there and said, hey, the path to getting to the Super Bowl is having home field advantage. So this is an important game, and I've been trying to get it out of the guys all week. They've been taking this humbled and hungry approach these past couple of weeks, and hey, it's been proving out big dividends. So let's see, if that humbled and hungry approach, pays off again this week because, the Bills definitely respect every opponent. They don't fear their opponent, and that's the key. So, kill them with kindness until, we meet at the 50, and I take your head off.
And we're talking about if the Chiefs are going to be able to stop the Bills on defense. And they did have 2 pretty important members of that unit not practice today for the second day in a row. Actually. Rashad Fenton, log 2, did not practices in a row. And Frank Clark, with an illness, went from limited to do not practice. And he is a guy, he is such a streaky defensive end in the NFL, but he always has a way to play in the big moments. And I remember moments in games against them in the past where Frank Clark and Chris Jones together just kind of take over. They say, you know what, the Kansas City defense is going to do its job in this one. And without guys like that, they're already pretty hampered in the secondary. And it's Trent McDuffie, the rookie corner. He's out. He's been out all year, forcing Jalen Watson, a 7th-round rookie, to be starting. And he's been okay. He's been decent. I did look. He did have a pick 6 in the Chargers game, but other than that, allowing 60% completion percentage and 236 yards on 35 targets. So good, not great, but someone like Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs, Gabe Davis, like they should be able to take advantage of a secondary hampered like that.
Oh, without a doubt. We already know what Gabe Davis did to him. The coaching staff know what Gabe Davis did to him last year. I mean, if you need a reminder, just go back and look at last week's game. So here it is.
If you need a reminder, go look at the record for touchdowns.
Diggs. So if you double Stefon Diggs, the result is meaning that Gabe Davis is going to have another career day. All right. And they don't want to do that. So they got to pick their poison this time, because once you try to stop both of them, Dawson Knox is due for a breakout game. Isaiah McKenzie will kill you. And, Khalil Shakura is emerging. So you got to pick your poison with this offense. And Coach Dorsey is doing a good job of moving Stefon Diggs around so you can't double him. And Dable's offense, he was just stuck on the outside for the double just to, set its course. But now you see Diggs playing the 1, you see playing him in the slide, you see him playing the 3 sometimes when they're in trips. So, Coach Dorsey is doing a good job of moving Stefon Diggs around to, get the ball in his hand so he can make plays for the offense.
And speaking of Ken Dorsey's offense, because as I said in the show in the preseason, you did say that the offense was going to be leaps and bounds better than what we've seen in years past. So what else are you seeing? Like, obviously, the run game hasn't completely taken off how we might like it to. There are moments when Devin looks like, the bona fide RB1. Sometimes has a few mistakes here and there, but he's definitely like good enough to be the lead back on this team. Would like to see a little bit more production out of that. But the offensive line, I thought, has looked fantastic, keeping Josh clean. He's pressured at one of the lowest rates in the NFL right now. Like, overall, what are you seeing from Ken Dorsey that, is the reason why Josh Allen is off to the best start of his career so far through 5 games?
Well, hey, the continuity, the familiarity is there now. It's just like I've been watching Coach Dable, make these calls year in and year out. And it's something that I see that I know that will work, other than what's not working. And I'm going to do that. And I think that's what Dorsey has brought to the table. It's like, okay, when it's my turn, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to add this little wrinkle and it'll work this way. And, I mean, just little stuff that you see different within the offense that's making plays. I like the run design, even though we need to see more of it. But I think more or less it's like, you know what, man, this thing is going on Josh Allen arm. We're going to blow you out, and then we'll control the rest of the game by running the ball once we up 28-10 or something like that. That's their idea, I guess, on having balance right now. But let's give you this onslaught of points with our passing game, and then, slow the game down once we have a lead, play some clock ball and solid defense against you. So I do like the run game. I like the run design. We just need to see more of it early in the game. But we all know this offense goes how JA go, or as I say, cheat code 0017.
Cheat code 0017. That's a new one. And speaking of cheat code 0017, one thing we haven't seen a lot are QB sneaks from him. I'm 4th and 1. I haven't. If there's one complaint I would have about the offense so far, it's that the 4th down efficiency doesn't seem to be where it was in years past. That's a justifiable criticism, and maybe the only one of this Ken Dorsey offense so far.
Yeah, we ain't going for it too many on 3rd downs. I mean, on 4th downs, we're converting to 3rd downs now. And one thing I have, I asked Coach Dorsey is, that red zone. We got to tighten up in that red zone. We can't be kicking field goals, going for it, fumbling the ball and stuff like that. Josh mimicked it earlier yesterday about that. Cleaning that stuff up, and they got to clean it up. They got to clean that type of stuff up. And the crazy part about it is, like, damn, if they clean that stuff up, they'll be averaging 40, 50 points a game. And that's the scary thing about this team. Like, you see so many ways that this team can improve, but in the meantime, they blowing your ass out. So it's just like, how can this team get even better? And they're doing it without, their starters. They're doing it half-mast, really. So that's another scary thing when everybody get completely healthy, and I guess that guy with 3 letters in his name might pop up like a computer virus. Then what?
That is the big then what, because I don't know what you would do with that case. I'm with you about the run. I've loved the run design, like the power sweeps. Like, you got athletic tackles, you got athletic guards for a reason. Let them go out there and run and maul some guys. They haven't needed it that much. It's like why go away from your fastball? The quarterback's throwing 110 right now. He's blowing up the pitching meter. Like it's gonna work out. And yeah, I don't think there's much that this Chiefs team is going to be able to do to stop the Bills. It's been them hurting themselves in a lot of cases. I mean, we talked about before, 4 turnovers week 1. Like that was the only slip up there. Like they missing opportunities in certain points, like you guys are talking about on 4th down and anything. I do want to ask you though, Muki, about Khalil Shakir, because that first game last week, I mean, you got the touchdown, had a couple nice catches and everything, but I feel like it's just like, he just looks so comfortable, and the decisiveness that Josh delivers him the balls in not easy catches. Like that first catch down the middle was a hard, like in triple coverage almost. Trusting him in those moments, like how bright of a future does this kid have, even with McKenzie probably coming back from injury this week? Yeah, no problem.
Now, what was your question again?
I was just asking about Khalil Shakir because you can tell Josh trusts him. Like Josh is decisive. He's not afraid to get him the ball in tight windows. Obviously, we saw it at the end of the Ravens game. We saw it into the triple coverage on Sunday and then the touchdown, obviously. So even with McKenzie back, like how big of a role do you think this kid can have?
With Josh throwing in tight windows?
No, with Shakir. Just the Shakir in general.
Oh, Shakir. Oh, yeah, I know, right? That play right there. I'm like, God, what the hell are you going? That guy's not open, I know he must have saw him wide open for that split second, but it was good heads up play by Khalil, just getting his head around, recognizing that, and coming back to the ball and making a play. And this guy's not playing like a rookie. No. He plays like a veteran with some of the things that he do out there with the football in his hand. So Khalil the Steel, I call him, and that's another guy that they're going to have to account for once he's out there. This is not last year's Buffalo Bills team. Kansas City is going to get a clear understanding of that. If they think that this is the same team that they lost to, that they beat in 13 seconds, they're sadly mistaken.
They got another thing coming.
Around for none of that. Don't care about none of that. And going to be a difference out there come Sunday. I don't think, has Kansas City defense got better than last year's defense where they couldn't stop the Bills? We all know that the Bills defense has gotten much better than last year's number 1 defense. And, it was kind of fugazi in areas, but those areas have been filled with getting to the quarterback and, getting turnovers. That's going to be the big difference in sacks. The Bills are like, in top 5 in sacks. Last year, they was kind of like in the middle of the pack. But, stopping the run last year, they was like top 20. This year, they're top 5. So those 2 areas that were lacking last year has caught up the pace. So now, you can truly say that the Bills have a top overall defense instead of number 1 passing defense, number 1 points allowed, and all that stuff to go along with it. Now, bringing Von Miller, Jordan Phillips makes the cipher complete. So we're comfortable in stopping the run with Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver and those guys in the interiors. And we're very comfortable getting after the quarterback with Russo in his second year. Espinoza is emerging as good quality depth piece. Shaq Lawson as well. And then obvious Von Miller. So, we're just starting there. We ain't even talking about secondary. We ain't talking about linebackers.
Nope.
The game is one up front. So I'm just going to start it there and leave it there.
Yes.
Yeah, and speaking of up front, like this Kansas City rushing attack, like it's nothing to make anybody really nervous about anything. Like Isaiah Pacheco is an intriguing kind of guy. Like he's come in and performed admirably as a rookie, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire has 2 of his 5 games this year averaging less than 2 yards a clip. He had 1 game when he finished with 0 rushing yards on 7 carries. Like he is someone who has vastly underperformed all expectations. Like there's that meme or the GIF that's like, man, my expectations for you were low, but holy shit, dude. Like Edwards-Helaire has a way of finding his way underneath that. Like Jerick McKinnon is their biggest threat out of the backfield, and it's just because he's a wild card because you don't know what Jerick McKinnon you're gonna get. In the San Francisco regime, when he was one of the 7 running backs that they could use every single year, he was pretty good back there. And he's breaking off chunk plays every now and again. But if I'm looking for, I'm playing devil's advocate, I guess, looking for a formula for the Chiefs to consistently put up points, it's got to be with these receivers they spent a ton of money on in free agency. You know, Juju against Taron Johnson, I don't think that that's a matchup that they can win. So is it Marquez Valdez-Scantling? Because outside of that, you know, they got Mecole Hardman, who Micah and I were joking earlier is going to be the guy that Tony Romo finds himself falling in love with in the middle of the game and cheerleading out over. But other than that, Sky Moore, like he's underperformed as a rookie. Shakir's got the leg up on him as a rookie receiver. It's hard to play devil's advocate for the Chiefs really making this as high scoring on their end as it needs to be, other than just saying Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Like, it's really hard. Oh, you're muted, Mook.
They don't have the cheetah out there anymore, so it's like, well, damn, who else is his go-to other than Kelce? And you know, he's still trying to figure that one out. And when you look at the number of targets, they kind of get like the same amount of targets, anywhere between 6 to 8 targets between the two on Scantling and Schuster there. You know, what are they going to do? They're going to run jet sweeps with Mecole Hardman. Kansas City, they do a lot of things with a lot of motions, a lot of window dressing. The Bills are going to have, you know, eye discipline to make sure that they're reading things correctly. And, you know, and they execute what they need to execute off what they see. If they don't, then it's going to be, you know, it's going to be a lot of misdirections and stuff like that. The Bills is going to have to be, you know, very disciplined with their eyes to diagnose things quickly and shut that down. So, you know, that's one thing that you're going to be looking out for to, I guess, help stop the bleeding of not having a guy like Tyreek Hill available, you know. So a lot of window dressing, look to have a lot of motions and misdirections, stuff like that. Kansas City loves to do that type of stuff to get guys like Schuster and Marquez Valdez-Scantling open. But once again, it all depends on how much we get in penetration and pressure, you know, up front, you know. And I think that, you know, this is the game where the Bills defensive line needs to dominate. The Bills offensive line needs to dominate. They haven't really truly dominated Kansas City's offensive line. When you go back and look at the past 2 years, Chris Jones has, you know, basically been the big bully up front, you know, against the Bills. But we got the bully stopper in Roger Saffold.
Yeah, we do.
You know, that's another X factor that nobody's talking about, that, you know, Chris Jones ain't going to want no smoke with. And once we see Chris Jones lining up over Uncle Rick and Spencer Brown, then we know that he don't want no smoke with Roger Saffold, because that's what's going to end up happening. They're going to move him around to try to create a mismatch, a guy he can have an advantage over, to try to, you know, bull rush or make a play. And, you know, I think the guys will be ready for that. But Roger Saffold, this is why we brought Roger Saffold in too. We brought Roger Saffold in to contain Mr. Jones. So, you know, this is where being spun his money at. Now we got to make sure to see if the money is well spent. That's about it.
Yeah, and the one guy that I'm going to be keeping my eye on, one of the many, of course, on the Bills side of the football, but coming off not what was the greatest game of his career so far, not a bad one, but as a Sean McDermott defender, Kaiir Elam was, of course, looking at the game he had and knowing he could be better and saying, yeah, I got things to clean up. I don't care about the interception. Like, rookie, shut up. I know you're happy about that interception. I know you want to keep that ball. I know you're going to frame it and remember that play forever. And he was up against a good rookie receiver with a solid rookie cornerback. Like, I was sitting there with my girlfriend's brother at the game saying, that's a rookie quarterback throwing to a rookie receiver on a rookie corner. And then the next one, Kaiir Elam, picked him off. And it was just beautiful. You know, there's so many rookies to rally around, and Kaiir Elam, absolutely one of them. What have you seen from the guy so far in his first season, 5 games in, and now going up against debatably the greatest quarterback that the NFL has to offer right now? You know, he's licking at the bit to maybe add another interception to that trophy case of his.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Kaiir Elam has been, again, they brought him in for Tyreek Hill. You know, they brought him in, a big physical corner that could run with speedier receivers, and that's why they brought him in. And then again, he held Tyreek Hill to 2 catches, 33 yards. Nobody's talking about that. You know, in 5 games, he started in 3 of them, and you know, he did well. In the locker room after the game, oh, he was pissed off. Like, you talk about, nah, I throw the ball away. He didn't want no parts of that. Only thing he gave himself an F-.
Yeah,
I
he did.
asked him, I was like, yo, how would you rate your performance out there? He said a F minus. I was like, dude, come on, man. You got pick and everything out there. F minus.
Yeah,
He
and they
said he held
targeted him a
himself to
lot.
higher
They went
standard.
after
We
the guy.
expect, his level of play to be higher than what he did out there. And, I get it. You as a corner, you don't want no passes being called on you. But
I mean, they got to throw at somebody, right? Like they got to throw at somebody. And if it's like a quick read and it's making it just, there was all one read stuff. Like Kenny was just getting the ball out. And if he's playing that little step off, like they're going to throw at one of the corners. And Dane's been incredible. Like I've loved everything I've seen from Dane Jackson so far this year. Right. So like, it's just kind of the odds to me. I feel like for a guy, F minus is crazy.
He caught a few
F-?
passes. Pickens caught a few passes on Dane too. But I think Pickens it's more personal. It's more personal because Elam played at Florida, Pickens played at Georgia. All right, so it's a little personal between the two because Kaiir Elam locked down every Georgia Bulldog last year to 0 catches. So maybe that was his mindset on him having a bad game, a great allowing a few catches out there. He got the pick. You got your first pick in the NFL, and you was playing off coverage. You wasn't playing man. So he reminds me a lot of Tre'Davious White coming out of college. And I talk to Trey White all the time. I talked to Trey Sunday about that in particular, on how Kaiir Elam was just so hard on himself. He's like, he just got to learn that players are going to get plays. You're going to get some passes caught on you. Just can't let a lot of passes get caught on you. That's what Tre'Davious White said. You can't get a lot of passes caught on you. And, he'll learn. And, I'm telling you, it's just like Tre'Davious White. Even when he had to put the boxing gloves on him in training camp, guess what? They put the boxing gloves on Tre'Davious White too, coming out of college. So he reminds me so much of Tre'Davious White. It's crazy. And, he's out there playing like it right now. He's not your typical rookie right now. No. And he's only going to get better. So if he's pissed off about a receiver catching a few passes and he got a pick, just imagine when this guy is really rating himself having A+ days, because he rated himself having an F-.
Yeah, I mean, he came out of that game like performing pretty damn well and came out of it with 10 tackles. Like even if Pickens is catching the ball on him, there's not a lot of yards after catch coming on this guy. Like there's the motor that we know. There's a name that a former, like a few years ago, a Sean McDermott defender said that they have for like when you just don't give up on a play, like the hustle kind of plays. And I can't remember what McDermott calls it, but it's something like they kind of like mentally keep track of themselves. And like Elam is one of those guys that he's going to have a lot of gold stars in his head for those kinds of plays. And so, I don't really know where we go from here. I feel like I'm overconfident about this game. Like I started out much less like when we started talking before we were recording, Mike was like, I don't think this is going to be really close at all. Honestly, I'm like, don't think this is going to be close at all. Okay, I thought we were going to win, but that's not quite where I was. But this conversation has me like, I'm ready to say I think the Bills can win this game by like more than just one touchdown. It's reasonable. Like what the hell? It's just like you said, everything we talked about, because the points where the Bills can dominate can really attack weaknesses of the Chiefs in my mind, Muki. And I think that's where like the gap can get greater. And like I said before the show we got on here, and like you mentioned earlier too, all you get 2 punts and a turnover, maybe a fumble on the Chiefs side of the ball. That might be a death knell for them if the Bills are just clicking offensively. And this is like a great point. Like you said, 36 points in the last game, 38 or something like that. I don't remember the exact score from the game of the regular season last year, but it's 2 games in a row in Arrowhead that they've walked in and had their way with this defense over and over again. And like you said, Muki too, this defense did not get better for year to year. And I just don't see where the Chiefs defensively will find an advantage against the Bills offense unless the Bills offense is hurting themselves.
Right. If it's self-infliction, I don't see a team stopping the Bills other than the Bills stopping themselves. It's haven't been a team that could stop them. I mean, when you look, when the game was on the line against Baltimore, they made plays. Miami, everybody just cramped out.
They were still one play away.
They left so many plays out there. They had 4 opportunities to win that game, and they learned from that. And I'm kind of glad that they got that L out of the way. I'm kind of glad that they got that L out of the way because it's another reminder on how they need to play. And, you know, that woke them up. I'm glad they got that early L so, you know, they don't get caught off guard. This was their wake-up call, and this is how they plan. I mean, you look at that loss catapult them to get it together in that Ravens game. And you saw the mark of a championship caliber team. And years past, Bills might get their ass whooped being down 20-3 in Baltimore. Not anymore. You know, the team shows resiliency. Defense go out there and make the stops, get the offense back the ball, and offense finally gets in the rhythm, get going, and, you know, start making plays. And that's a mark of a good team. Complementary football at its best. And that type of energy carried over into the Pittsburgh Steelers game. If they can keep that juice going, keep that juice flowing in Kansas City, the Bills be in the driver's seat for home field advantage, you know, come Monday morning.
I'd like to hear that.
Damn straight. Yeah. You know, my biggest key for this one is just like acknowledging that it's regardless of what the defense looks like for the Chiefs, the offense still has Pat Mahomes, still has Travis Kelce, and they're going to get theirs. They could put up 20 points. They're probably going to put up a couple touchdowns, just staying in the moment, living in every individual moment, not thinking about the last drive, not thinking about the next one, not thinking about when we're going to meet them again in January, just staying
don't
locked
blink
in and zoned
like
in.
Vaughn,
Literally
they've
just
been saying
don't
it all year.
blink.
Don't blink.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't blink.
Don't blink. In the words of Von Miller, don't blink.
Yeah. That should be a
Don't blink.
t-shirt. That'll be a t-shirt. We'll make
That is a great
t-shirt.
subplot of the game too. Is the Von Miller T-shirt he's been waiting for to the Chiefs game? I'm very excited about that.
Oof.
I'm not going to take for granted, and Muki, I'm sure you're not covering this game too. Just the fact that we get to watch Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes put on another, maybe a classic, but just to see those two go to work against each other again, like just don't take those for granted because it's just two special guys out there that we're blessed to watch for however long they're going to keep going the next 10, 15 years.
Right. I mean, hey, you know, everybody want to call it Brady and Peyton or whatever. I'm calling it Josh and Patrick. All right.
Yep.
You know, people don't want to put Josh there, but who the hell are you going to put there? All right.
Yeah, right.
I don't know who else you're going to put there. You can't put Herbert there. You can't put Jackson there, even though Jackson got the MVP over Josh. Still can't put Jackson over Josh right now. You know,
Hurts maybe in a couple years, but it's Mahomes and Allen right now.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but right now, that rivalry right there, and then in itself, I mean, the way those guys out there is just slinging the rock, but it's definitely Brady Peyton-esque, you know.
Yeah.
So we got it. We're gonna have it for the years to come, and you know, a shootout. Josh Allen wins a shootout.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I mean, it don't matter. It don't matter how Kansas City want to come and address. I don't see them winning a shootout. I don't see Kansas City winning a close game. I don't see Kansas City winning this game at all. You know, I just don't see Kansas City winning this game. If the Bills go back to the scene of the crime for the third time and let these guys just manhandle them, they must got Kansas City Chiefs syndrome or something. I don't know what to say after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
This team has been devised this year for Kansas City. No ifs and buts about it. They're not going to probably admit that, but hey, Kansas City has been the standard for the past 2-3 years. All right. So you can say what you want to say, but these guys have been brought in to beat Kansas City. If they so happen to meet in the playoffs, the Bills is comfortable with what they have out there on the field now to go ahead and get that victory. Can't say that in years past. If you know, I'm quite sure every team feel confident, but this year alone, knowing when the pieces that you have on this roster, definitely let you know that. Come on, I mean, just play chess like we just put it together, right? You got Orlando Brown against Von Miller, Wiley against Rousseau. Like those are two mismatches already off the rip.
So excited!
Like,
so excited to see this D line together, just
Jordan
all together
Phillips,
healthy.
I'm telling you, Jordan Phillips is going to be the X factor. I'm telling you that now. Jordan Phillips is going to be the X factor in the run game and the pass game because Patrick Mahomes is not going to be used to a Buffalo Bills team to where he can't step up in the pocket. He is not going to be able to step up in the pocket, and he's going to be forced to try to bounce it to who?
And good luck. Good luck. Yeah. Good luck outrunning
Don't let that Oliver get a hold of you neither. You know, You know, he's pissed off. He's pissed off as we speak. You go in the locker room with Ed. Ed say, people, you don't even want to interview Ed because you don't even know if he's pissed off. You like he's just pissed off about something all the time. Ed's cool. He's a cool guy though.
Oh yeah. Well, before we get out of here, I know you're saying that it's going to be a Bills win, but let's get a score prediction just so that if you're right about that too, you can have that leg up on everybody. How do you see it going down? Give us like a game script, a storyline, and what's your final score?
I think the Bills come out on fire, you know, like they always do against Kansas City. If they need to go for it on fourth down, best believe they're going to go for it on fourth down.
Yep. Forcing field goals is going to be a victory in this game.
Yeah, Bills is definitely gonna be a victory. I think Josh might have another 400-yard passing game, you know, against this Kansas City defense. And let's not make no mistake, you best believe they want Josh to go ahead and have that type of game versus Patrick Mahomes. So, you know, look for, you know, a lot of passes again. The boys come firing out. Devin Singletary might have 6 to 7 catches out there this week. You know what I mean? Just because of, you know. Man, we throwing this thing. I mean, Josh Allen's going to be throwing the ball all over the yard. I think the Bills is going to get out to an early and fast start. And, you know, I don't think that Kansas City is going to be able to match that onslaught early on to the point where the Bills could, you know, I don't want to say put it on cruise control, but they're going to control and dictate the game. And I say Bills 38, Kansas City 29.
38-29. All right, I like that. And you know what? That actually accounts for a possible mixed extra point. We didn't even talk about Matthew Wright, their 4th kicker of the year, with Harrison, the butt kicker, out for this one with his ankle injury or whatever the hell he's dealing with. Great, you know, a 9-point win, 29. Those boxes, those Bills boxes, if you're getting them 8 and 9, it's not something that usually hits. But if Mookie's right. If Mookie's right, someone's going to be a very lucky person for their daughter's softball box this weekend. Mookie, thank you for being here. Always appreciate you taking the time to be with us. And you know what? When come playoff time, we'll do it again for sure. How's that sound?
Oh, man. Thank you for having me, man. We know the train never stops, baby. Go
Yes,
Bills.
Sir.
Go Bills. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for Picasso's Pizza, Outlet Liquor, fans of Buffalo, and everyone at Trainwreck Sports. Yeah, good points, Majka. We will see you for our pregame on Sunday.